Greetings and blessings. Today I want to go over crops for 2024. I already did a video like this. I'll link to it here if you're interested, but things have been a little bit refined. I've gotten more varieties and I'm just feeling called to make this video, so let's get into it. So starting off with onions, New York early onions, about 95 days from transplant, I believe. And so you got to add on like another 10 to 12 weeks, starting them prior. We have fennel, two different varieties. I don't have them listed. Bulb fennel, and then we have two different varieties of kohlrabi, one being Treo and one being purple vina. One is 42 days and one is about 54 days, so you get a staggered harvest just by sowing both of those at the same time. I have about 11 different varieties of lettuce, some good for spring, some good for summer, some good for fall, some good for winter. 4 different varieties of kale. We have curly rojo or roja. I think it's curly rojo. Open pollinated variety of curly kale. We have red Russian kale, white Russian kale, lacinato kale, and I got this perennial kale that's called kaleidoscope kale, and also known as homesteader's kale. I'm trying to start that. And then there's also dazzling blue note kale. So we got lots of different kale. Trying to be king of kale this year, and also trying to be Swiss chard king. I got about 3 different varieties of Swiss chard: rainbow Swiss chard, ruby red Swiss chard, and rhubarb red Swiss chard. So 3 different varieties there. Long Island Brussels sprouts, and then got 2 different kinds of 2 different kinds of regular broccoli. One kind of Chinese broccoli. It's called kailan, and the other 2 different varieties of broccoli are solstice and it's a green sprouting broccoli, like an heirloom from the 1800s. Whole bunch of different kinds of winter squash. I haven't really figured out which ones. It's always weird, like looking at the camera. I just want to take this note. I'm looking at myself in the little flip thing that I have turned around so I could see what's going on. And that is better for me, to look at myself, than just to look directly in the camera, which is at all of you. So forgive me if I'm looking at myself like off to the side. That's just how. It's not even like about a comfortability thing. It's not that like I'm nervous to look directly. It's just the way that I am. I prefer not to look directly into the camera. So moving on, I have a whole bunch of different kinds of winter squash, and I want to potentially save seed in the future, and you can't grow all different kinds of winter squash next to each other without them crossing. So I'm just trying to dial in what squashes I'm going to grow. Options are butternut, definitely am going to do a kabocha squash, but then that leads to the question of just, can I grow one all the way on the other opposite side of the field and plant them at different times so then that they won't cross, and then I can grow all the, but that's not how you're going to get the best results. And then pumpkin, same thing with that. I have a whole bunch of different kinds of pumpkins that I want to plant, but I've been saving seed for 2 years now, growing for 3 years and saving for, growing for 3 years and saving for 2 years. The New England pie pumpkin, which is just like a crusher, sends out like all these nice, maybe not a crusher, but a exceller, these nice, all different shapes and sizes, but little pie pumpkins, and the storability on those is where it's at. So I've had one last in my closet until April, and so for a winter storage crop, I think the New England pie pumpkin is very valuable. But also, there's a whole bunch of other pumpkins that I have, like the Long Island cheese pumpkin, and I haven't ever grown that one yet, and I've just had the seeds for like a few years. So other things I want to tap into on the pumpkin side, and then it again proposes a question of, do we just grow them on the opposite sides of the field and plant them at different times to prevent crossing? We shall see. I'm just learning it all as I go. And cucumbers, 2 different varieties, Market More 76 and the Silver Slicer. A third variety would be Booth Buys Blondie, if I still have some of those. Potatoes, I don't know all 3 off of the top, but I can tell you that there's an early, mid, and I actually think I went 2 mid-season varieties and 1 late-season variety. Dry beans, a whole bunch of different dry bean varieties. 1 to 3 different pole bean varieties. Some bush bean, Dragon Lingerie, and Royal Burgundy. Maybe a few others. 6 to 7 different varieties of radicchio, and a few different varieties of peppers, some eggplant, 2 different varieties, some Oregon snow peas, 2 different varieties of sunflower, 3 different varieties of calendula, 2 different varieties of marigolds, raspberries that I've started from little starter plants that are going into their 2nd season, and I should have my first harvest off of. Sunchokes or Jerusalem artichokes, which was one of the main food staple crops for the Abenaki people who used to inhabit it. Used to be the inhabitants of Vermont before it was taken from them. And yarrow, mint, elderberry cuttings that I rooted myself all last season, so I should see those elderberries flourish into bushes this year now that they have established root systems. And then I got all my garlic, 18 different varieties of garlic, and then the Abenaki flint corn that I've been saving seed off of for the past 2 years. Going to continue to grow that out, also in a tribute to the Abenaki people. And it's a good, it's a flint corn, so it's good for making cornmeal. And then, haven't ever had too much success, but maybe this year's the year. Got a whole bunch of beet seed. Ground cherries, which is like nature's candy and also one of the Abenaki's 7 sisters. Turnips, watermelon radish, daikon radish, and I also have caramel yellow onion and Ed's red shallot, along with the New York early onion that I would like to start. And then I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different varieties of tomatoes. 3 being Juan Flame, Peace Vine Cherry, and Lillian's Yellow. I've been saving seed off of those for 2 years. And the other 3 are Anarita, Pinolo Rosa, and the Oregon Spring Tomato, which is an early 60-day frost hardy tomato from Territorial Seed. And then I also got a third storage tomato. Those first 2 Italian ones that I said, and then there's a third one called Long Keeper. And all of those are winter storage tomatoes that you harvest 3/4 ripe and store them in a wooden box with a cloth over them, or hang them in your kitchen at room temperature. And you can have fresh tomatoes into the cold months of winter. So that is my 2024 crop overview. It's about to be 12 minutes, which means it splits into 2 parts, and we don't want to do that. So much love, wholeness, blessings. We'll see you on the next one.